west of the temple, there was a little place that had about 5 or 6 little small rentals there, and we lived in one of those. We could go out and turn to the north and look down the road, right down the front of the temple. And we lived there for about 7 or 8 months. But at the time, Apache County, you could tell the county you're from by the license plate. Arizona, Apache County was always Z, the designation of Z for Apache County. And Dad was working for Tanner Brothers at the time and working out on a highway road somewhere. And we get in that car and drive up and down Mesa. And on the north side, there was an old Chinese store there where the, not sure what it is now, probably where they grind wheat or oats or something like that on the north side. On the south side, there's a 5 and 10. Go over there, and we never had any money, but you had to always look for the Z license plates on the car, but we didn't have anything to do, and so he bought us a bike. You remember that? An old bike. It was second hand. You couldn't get rubber wheels or tires for a bike, so he got some round holes, wrapped around that thing, that got some tape, and taped the tire on both ends of that thing. A little black and white bike, black and red. We used that thing until the holes was gone. They had to replace the holes.
Oh my goodness.
We brought that up to Eager, and that's when we got one that Uncle Carl had, the silver one. Had a little lock place you could lock the front of it, where you could lock the handlebars where it wouldn't turn back and forth.
We should do that now.
But outside of Mesa, there used to be a place that had coyotes and rattlesnakes, all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
Jack
Had some
Adams
monkeys there. We
Alligator
called them
Farm.
red-assed monkeys. They were baboons, and we'd give them dentine gum. They'd sit there and they'd throw that gum in the water and then let it soak, and then get up and chew it for them, and then put it back in the water and soak it. That was an Apache Junction. That was out of town.
You said the name of it, didn't you,
Oh,
Way
Susie?
out of town, yes.
I don't know if that's the same one or not. Was that the same thing? Did it become Jack Adams Alligator Farm, or was it different? Because there was an alligator farm out there
That
when we
was
were kids.
back in toward Mesa, but the alligator farm
closer.
wasn't even there at that time.
Hmm.
This was just a kind of a zoo, just a small by the side of the road. But the temple was on the outskirts of Mesa.
Mm-hmm.
That was about the first building in Mesa, and then there was, I forget what it was, there's something out toward Apache Junction. Big farm, date farm or something like that.
Hi, Jolly.
Yeah,
Hi,
Hi
Jolly,
Jolly,
Hi, Jolly.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh, that's still there.
and that was the only thing until you got to Apache Junction.
Yeah. I'll tell you one on Phil, when he came back off his mission, he lived with us there on 1348 West 6th Drive, Mesa. He worked at a little mobile station right in the middle of Mesa. A little mobile, and the old fellow that owned it was Sledge. Well, Phil told me one day, he said that Sledge, that's the day when the old guy would come around and ask you what you needed and you want your oil checked. Well, Sledge came and leaned toward the window of this car, and a little old ugly mean dog
Oh,
bit him right on the nose.
Yes.
Phil come home and told me about that. Drew some blood off on Sledge.
Did Phil give him the nickname? I bet he
I don't
did.
know where it came from, but all
Oh.
I knew him was Sledge.
Sledge.
oh, I'll bet.
Who in here was given a nickname by Dad?
Whoever gave him, we had nicknames.
Jenna, raise your hand.
Well, I think he had Puff, didn't he?
I think so.
Either
We
him
were
or
we were
Raj.
wondering that. Why is she Aunt Puff? Where'd the puff come from?
Little round girl, little fat, ugly
Yeah,
girl.
little chubby.
Okay.
This was Dome,
I'm Dome.
because
Dome?
he had a little big forehead up there. That was Dome.
Show us your dome, Suze.
Take the lines out, will you?
I wish I could. That's so funny. Jim has a nickname? What's your nickname?
What was your name?
What-
Well,
Yeah.
I was named by Shelley at first, Ben, and Dad called me Bin or Binster.
Jim still has that as a nickname.
Finster.
I remember I was Peter Lorre. I didn't understand up until after he died, though, so I never appreciated it.
I was Tyler.
Is he the guy with eyes?
I'm
Maury,
Tyler.
with kind of-
Yeah, Peter P.I.
She's the 10th.
10th grandchild.
Merle is Nertz, or Lurt.
Oh,
Lurt.
he didn't know those gals hung all kinds of names
I
on me.
know it.
How
People,
come?
you talk about a Slade or a Hamlin or somebody like that. They know who they are, but you name a name like that, they know exactly who you're talking about. And I don't care where you go in Phoenix or Mesa, they know people by the old original name that they were called years ago.
They
Like-
called him Binko, that came from Carl.
Yeah,
Did you ever get rid of that?
yes.
Until today.
Till now,
That's
thanks.
only Bean Blossom.
Bean Blossom.
I'm the only white person in the crew. The rest of them were Spanish American. I had kind of white hair, so I was Bean Blossom.
Being
Hunter, what was yours?
I was Eli.
Yeah, he was Eli.
Eli.
Oh, I have a nephew, and his name is Randy. And Dad always called him Eric. And he answered to it. He'd go into Big O Tires where Randy worked, and he'd call in there, and he'd say, I'm looking for Eric. And they'd say, we don't have an Eric that works here. And Randy'd say, oh, that's me.
But you look at if you can find some of the old school journals here, nearly all of them have that name that they were going by. There was old Conch Slade, Peapies, Lund.
Hammerhead.
Everybody had a name.
Hammerhead.
Every name.
And it was Cabbage,
Everybody in school,
Cabbage
even the
Slade,
teachers
right?
started
Yeah,
calling them
Cabbage.
that.
Mhm.
I
What's
was
his real
Walter
name?
Until I got away from Mrs. Burgess.
Who knows?
Let me think.
Thank goodness for that.
Can't remember.
See?
Yeah.
We all know who Cabbage is, though.
Anybody know White Rat? Fuzzy Butt? These are names from my class. Pinky and White Rat always drove up to school in Big Bertha.
That's great.
We had that name.
Melissa was Spider Monkey because
Yep.
she climbed on everything.
Yeah.
And she's
Apparently-
little.
Preston calls her Big Bertha because she's the smallest.
She's so tiny.
Except for Hunter.
Still have them.
Sharon still calls Stephanie Spider Monkey.
Melissa.
I mean Melissa, yes.
Yeah, we all do.
Bill and I got in trouble with Albert Parr. He lived just east of us. But for some reason, we called him Saber. And finally one day, he came over there and he said, you guys don't call me that anymore. And we didn't. He put the fear to it. He'd been in the Navy and he had our respect. And where we picked up Saber, I don't know.
He was notorious the way he drove. I think he wrecked several cars coming off where the old road comes down from Alpine. He calls it grade around
Picnic
there.
Hill.
He put that car off the edge of that, he'd go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Be driving that car and be asleep in just 5 seconds. And several times they'd go up and pull the car back up on their own, mount him back up and down where he comes.
Now, is this that guy you're talking about? Or is this Dad?
That's Albert.
Albert.
He's a cousin
Albert.
of ours, yeah.
Gotcha.
I
Albert
heard the
Forrest.
story that he got sleeping sickness, we think, in the service, in the Navy. We don't know, but I've heard this and I don't believe it, but I've heard that he was sawing a big old tree with a chainsaw and just went to sleep. Chainsaw running and everything.
Oh my goodness.
Knocked down or what, but went to sleep sawing trees.
Well, that's a sawing logs. That's a good story.
There were several people I met later on that got the same thing. There was one that drove a truck for Union Rock, that delivering some gravel to the state hospital. I was working there and came in there and he asked this guy, he says, "Where am I supposed to dump this?" The guy took it over and said, "Dump it right over there." He dumped that load of gravel out on the side of the road and signed the ticket, went on back, and I called him about an hour later. I says, "Where's the material we called for?" He said, "Well, it's delivered out there." And I said, "We don't have it yet." And now this guy, we call him Sleepy, just went back there and got one of the person that was a patient there at the hospital.
No.
Right where he wanted it.
Oh my God.
Signed the ticket, right on down the road he went.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's too funny.